Hey readers, thanks for tuning in to Books in the Park. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a good week of reading. I feel like I'm finally catching my stride for the year. So yeah, let's get right into it. Last week, what did I read? The first thing I finished was Fear by Michael Crichton. I mentioned last week that I had read Jurassic Park and Lost World last year, and that's kind of what got me inspired to read another Michael Crichton book. They're fun, they're entertaining, a little bit of science, a whole lot of fiction, but fun nonetheless. And I think Sphere was maybe a little less fun, but definitely entertaining. Basically, the premise is that the government has, the Navy has found a ship on the bottom of the ocean. And so they send a team down of Navy personnel along with a psychologist, biologist, physicist, maybe a mathematician or something along those lines. But a group of military folk and a group of civilians to go down, figure out what's going on, what this thing is, where it came from, and that's the story. And so, as you can imagine, submarine, underground habitat, very claustrophobic, very, I think, sort of a psychological element to it. Yeah, it had a certain atmosphere. It was enjoyable. I read it quickly and got through it quickly. When I finished it, I thought that I wasn't super satisfied with the ending, but the more I kind of think of it, the more I think that it might have been a little bit more open-ended or something more to it than I originally thought. So definitely give it a try. And it's a great, like a fun weekend read or a beach read or just something to, just like I said, entertain you. It's good. Crichton is very good at that. So yeah, Sphere, Michael Crichton. Let me know what you think if you get a chance to read it. The second thing I finished was called Damien by Hermann Hesse, or Hesse. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't like pronouncing the E, so I'm going to say Hesse. But I thought at first this was a reread of something that I had read when I was younger. Sort of in my late teens and early 20s, I read a lot of Hesse, and I thought that I had read this, but after I read the story, I hadn't read it. It has a lot of the themes that the author explores in his other books, a lot of sort of coming of age type stories, or seeking one's own path, seeking out knowledge and wisdom, and sort of the ambivalence between sort of the righteous life and the sort of real lived life that we all encounter as we go out in the world. So it's similar to his other works, but definitely something new for me. Basically, this story is a young man named Sinclair, who was raised in a very religious German family after World War I. And even though he loves that life and he's had a great life and a beautiful life growing up, great family, he's always been drawn to that other life, the life that he describes as, the dark, or the sort of the inverse of the life that he's been raised in and been told is the only way to live righteously. And so, when he's a young man, he meets a friend named Damien, and this story just follows them as they sort of grow up and find their own paths. And it has sort of, I guess, maybe sort of a spiritual sort of aspect to it, but in the sense of, I guess, more of a philosophical spirituality than necessarily religious spirituality. But it's very much a coming of age, it's very much a pursuit of knowledge and personal growth. And if I highly recommend the author. This was a good book, not my favorite of his books, but I think that this is definitely going to inspire me to reread some of the ones that I read when I was younger that I absolutely loved. So more to come on that. And one thing I'll say is that this book, what I really enjoyed about it was, how do you say this? Now that I'm a parent and an adult and have gone through the challenges of, sort of getting through adolescence and becoming an adult, becoming a man, sometimes it's hard to remember how hard it was to grow up. and this book really helped me reflect on that. And I think just it's so easy to cast doubt and criticism on young people, and especially when you've sort of, I don't know, I once you've become an adult and you are more comfortable with yourself and you have earned the things or achieved the things that you wanted to achieve when you were younger, sometimes it's just hard to look back and see the difficulties that young people really go through. And so this really helped me reflect on that. And I think especially, I've got a 13-year-old, and she's starting to go through a lot of the same things of, she's not a kid anymore, but she's not an adult. And so this really helped me reflect on that and keep things in perspective. So Damien by Herman Hesse, great book, great author. Hope you get a chance to read it. Now, as far as what I'm reading now, I'm reading something that's back in the entertainment category. I'm reading Born Identity by Robert Ludlum. I love these movies when they came out, however long ago it was, but never read the books. And I'm like 20 years too late or whatever. But so far I really love it. It's like, I'll get more into it once I finish it, but it's like a spy thriller, and they're fun, and I really enjoy the author. Actually, I'm at the age where if I won't suffer through a book, and so it's nice to find an author that I like, because hopefully they've got a bunch of novels that I can read in that writing style, and not have to, I don't want to say suffer through, but there's just some authors that I won't suffer through. I just don't have the time or the patience for it anymore. But so far so good. I'll get more into the actual story once I've finished it. And then the other thing that I'm reading is a continuation of my goal for the year to read more nonfiction, and it's called The Ancestor's Tale by Richard Dawkins. I've not read Dawkins before. I think he's kind of a controversial figure, but for those of you who don't know, I guess you kind of consider him like the world's sort of foremost spokesman for evolution. And so this book is, I really enjoy this one because it's like a time machine, starting with modern humans, and he takes you back throughout our evolution, and sort of goes through stages of most recent common ancestors. And so we go from humans to back in time to Neanderthals, and then our next common ancestor, and so on and so forth throughout history. It's very interesting, just learning about these different species and how they adapted to their environments, and how and why we might have branched off. And it's just like I guess like a evolutionary history class. And it's like if you went to a museum and just followed a timeline back and saw all the different species that existed and that we shared common ancestor with. And he's an interesting author. Like I said, I hadn't read him before, but he's a good combination of sort of an academic writing style where there's a lot of information, but his writing style isn't so dense that you can't get into it. So if that makes sense, he is more, he's skilled as like an entertaining author, not just as like a downloading a bunch of information. So that said, it's a big book, and it's between 500 and 600 pages. So it might take me a little while to finish it, but so far I'm really enjoying it. It's entertaining, and it's one of those ones where you can just sit down and read a couple of chapters and put it down for a couple of days and come back to it, read a few more chapters, and it's like I said, it's entertaining. I really enjoy it so far. So that's what I'm reading now. That's what I read this week. What are you reading? What did you read? Have you read any of the books that I've read or that I'm reading? Let me know your thoughts. Comments down below. Ask me questions. Let me know what you're going to be reading this coming week, or what you'd like to see me read. Appreciate you liking, subscribing. Thanks again for tuning in. Happy reading.